It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege of interviewing the Waldorf head shotgun sports coach, Coach Dean Mueller. How are you doing today?
We're doing pretty good.
Thank you. Can you talk about how you knew that you want to get started in coaching in the sports of shotgun sports?
I've been involved with the shotgun sports for quite a few years. It's been fun working with the kids. It's fun when you can see them grow and develop themselves in the sport. A lot of kids when they first start, sometimes at the high school level anyway, they've never shot before. So we've got to
What was that experience like for you getting started in the sports of shotgun sports?
I hate to say this, they just gave me a message saying our internet connection is unstable. I don't know if that's going to cause you any problems.
What was it like getting started in the sports of shotgun sports?
What was it like? I had a lot to learn. I was a shooter myself, but as far as the coaching aspect, I took some different clinics, had to try out some of the different techniques to make sure that one, they worked, and two, I could teach the kids. It was real interesting. One of the things that you learn over time is, everybody reacts just a little bit differently. So we have, a basic stance we start out in, and the way we want the kids to move their shotguns to the target and everything else. But not everybody is capable of doing that. And then over the years, I've had some kids that had, I guess, handicap issues. One of them had an issue with his arm, and we actually had to build a different stock for him to be able to hold his shotgun and use it. One of the other challenges I've had over the years is I've had a young man that was in a wheelchair, and turned out that wasn't as much of a learning curve as I thought it would be, because if you treat the wheels on the chair the same as you do a person's feet, you pretty much can make that work on the trap field anyway. But yeah, I had a lot of things I had to learn, and I've learned a lot myself over the years working with all of these kids. Everybody's different, and you gotta learn to deal with them. The other thing is communication's a big issue too. I could tell somebody something half a dozen times and it may not sink in, and so I'll turn to another coach and say, hey, you want to talk to this kid and explain, in your terms? And just a few different words can make a big difference in how these kids understand.
What was that experience like for you getting to coach on the U.S. team for the clay target?
USA clay target, that league is a little bit different than the SCTP. It's probably more favorable to small teams. That was one of the reasons why we switched with our high school. They've been trying to get going with the college program too, but that hasn't been nearly as successful as their efforts with the high schools.
What has that experience been like transitioning from coaching on the high school level of trap shooting to getting to the college level?
That has been, for me, it's been a lot of fun because with the high school kids, we're pretty much just talking about shooting trap, okay? The college level, when we go to tournaments, they shoot trap, skeet, and sporting clays. So we've got 3 different disciplines that we're working with. The one thing that you notice immediately is you've got kids that have experience. They are more, what do I want to say? They're more driven to put up good scores at this level than the high school. Because high school level, some of these kids are just there because their friends are out or it's fun, something to do. And I don't have a problem with that. I think it's great that they're participating. But at the college level, these kids really want to perform. And so you've got to step up your coaching level too, because a lot of times what you're making really, really small adjustments in their pre-shot routine or how they move their gun to the target or how they pick up the target with their eyes. And so it takes a little bit more observation on my part to figure out what we need to do and change, because, you know, a lot of these kids they're good shooters. They're breaking 23, 24, even 25 straight a lot of times. And we need, but at this level, you need to get them to where they're shooting 25 straight all the time. And a lot of times it's just really small things that we've got to change. And it's like any other sport. You got to practice and have the repetitions to build that muscle memory to make it work.
Coming to Wolford, what was that experience like becoming the head coach for the first time?
Well, I guess I was kind of surprised that I even got offered the job. I've been curious about the college level for several years, just because I've had a couple of kids off my high school team that shot at college. I know at least 3 kids from the Osage team that shot at college, and it kind of intrigued me to go up to that next level. And I just threw my name in the hat there for the coaching position, just because I thought, well, let's go do the interview, see what kind of questions they ask, what they're looking for, and just see. And I was really surprised that I ended up getting the job. But like I said, it's a lot of fun. We go to bigger tournaments. We've been shooting in tournaments in Missouri, Nebraska, and around Iowa. And so, I mean, when we leave, you're gone all weekend. It takes up 3 days with travel and shooting your events. But to me, it's been rather exciting, because some of the schools we shoot against are really, really good teams, and you get to watch some good shooters.
What does a typical competition day look like for you as a coach versus for your athletes?
Well, I guess it's my responsibility to make sure I get them up in the morning, get them to the range on time. And, you know, I have to go see what the schedule is, which range we're supposed to be on, what time we're supposed to be there, and just get them organized. Basically, the only thing they really need to do is put on their vest, grab a couple boxes of shells, and go up to the line and do their job. I guess I'm kind of like I don't want to use the word babysitter, but you know, you got to make sure that everybody's organized and where they're supposed to be on time. Because these bigger tournaments, you're given an hour to shoot your 100 targets of trap. You get an hour and a half for your skeet, and you've got to be there early and prepared to get on the field if the team in front of you is done a little bit early. And if you're not sticking to that schedule, you know, if you hit the end of your time, your hour and a half, they'll actually pull you off the line, and you have to come back at the end of the day and make up the targets if they'll let you. Otherwise, they're all scored as losses, and you obviously don't want that to happen.
Who are some of the teams in your conference that you compete against?
In Iowa here, the big ones are, you know, we've got Simpson College, we've got William Penn College, and we've got Wartburg College. All 3 of those schools have had national championships, excellent teams, and they've got, you know, some of them are 20 to 40 kids on their team, so they're big teams. And like with William Penn, they've got some pretty good skeet shooters. Last year, two of the tournaments we were at, their five skeet kids shot 495 out of 500 the one day, and then I think the other tournament it was either 493 or 494 out of 500 targets. I mean, 5-6 misses is all they had. So some of the teams we shoot against are pretty good. We go down to Missouri, we've shot with Lindenwood, we've shot with Missouri Valley. Going into Nebraska, we've shot with Hastings, Doane, Concordia. So we shoot with a lot of different schools, and some of them are, bigger than others. But like I say, the Iowa teams are the ones that are really the tough ones to shoot against.
What is that like getting to experience some of those teams in your conference, like William Penn, but then also competing against Lindenwood, who's not in your conference?
Well, it's just, I like shooting against them. You get to watch their kids perform, and I don't know, I'm just hoping it inspires our kids to step up and do a little bit better. And they want to, but again, it takes time, it takes work to get them up there. But shooting against some of those other kids it's just interesting. You learn a few things. One of them, Rayleigh Bishop, she did shoot for William Penn and then transferred to Iowa State. But, she's one of the top lady trap shooters in the United States, and we've actually brought her in to do a high school clinic and help teach some of the high school kids.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you've built for the program?
Oh, as far as the culture goes, the big thing is you've got to have the kids that get along together. I mean, we travel in the same bus together when we go to tournaments. You live in the same hotels. So basically, I want our kids to, get along, be friends, be able to help each other out. And obviously, because they're in college, their schoolwork is important. I mean, you've got to have, your grade levels have to be up there so you can stay eligible. And preferably we'd have, want them above the eligibility level. Like to go to nationals, if they don't have a 2.3 grade point, they can't go. So, we are encouraging them to do their homework on the weekends when we go to tournaments. But, kids to shoot good scores need to be in a good frame of mind. They need to be happy. And as long as everybody can, get along and treat each other respectfully, things go pretty good.
As a head coach, what is it like getting to shoot in these different disciplines in shotgun, like clay target, skeet, and other disciplines?
Well, as far as coaching on those levels for 3 different disciplines, each one of them has their own challenge. I would say sporting clays is probably the tougher one to work with the kids, because you're shooting a variety of targets. I mean, they could be a rabbit that bounces on the ground. You've got targets that are coming into you, targets that are going out, crossing targets. But basically, it's more of a mental game, because there you've got to decide where your hold point is for the shotgun. You've got to decide where your eyes need to be to pick up the first target. And then you have to decide where you're going to break that first target so that you can get your eyes and the gun moved to the second target and get a break. So sporting clays is tough in that respect, because it's more of a mental game with the kids. Trap and skeet are just working on your basic fundamentals. I mean, skeet, the targets are going, exactly where that target's going to go. So it's all about teaching them to set up on the station properly. And again, it's where your hold point, your look point, and your break point is on those targets. So each one of these takes a little different skill set.
As a head coach, what is it like getting to host a meet for sporting shooting?
You want to repeat that one again?
As a head coach, what is it like getting to host a meet?
I haven't actually hosted a college event yet. We're going to have one in September. It's really not a whole lot different than the high school ones. It's just that we've got more disciplines to deal with. Um, but as far as your responsibility as a head coach, we've got to advertise the shoot. We've got to take care of the registrations as they come in. The day of the shoot, we've got to make sure all the scorecards are at the stations where they need to be, make sure they get turned in properly. And then at the end of all that, then you got to go back and add everything up, check the math twice to make sure you didn't make any mistakes. And that's where a spreadsheet's kind of handy, because you can just dump their scores in and then do a quick sort, and you can figure out who's got the top 3 scores in each event. The one thing that is a little different at the college level, though, is they do have high overall awards. So you add up the scores for trap, skeet, and sporting clays at the end of the weekend, and those kids get the top 2 or 3 awards for high overall.
What does that recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes looking to go into shotgun sports in college?
Well, depends on which route we go. So, we like watching the scores for the different high school leagues and trying to pick out some of the kids that we think would be a good addition to the team and talk to them. I run a showcase shoot where they can come in and shoot in the spring, and we'll talk to them, get a chance to watch them perform. And at that point, we go talk to the ones we're interested in and ask them to make an application to the university, which will do a couple things. One, it gets the scholarship talk and the budget talk for what it's going to cost to go to school started. We encourage them to come to campus for a visit. And if we're dealing with somebody out of state, say we're trying to recruit somebody from Texas, we've got a video tour of campus that we can send them. It's not as good as, having them actually come to campus and talk to the different professors and get a feel for the dorms and what life would be like for them at the university. So hopefully that kind of answers your question. But the first thing is you got to get some contact with the kids. I do, and then we get them to, like I said, put an application in, and then after that, hopefully we just get them on campus to visit, and from there the counselors take over, and they'll walk them through what they're going to get for their scholarship and what else, what their dorm and room and board is going to cost, that kind of stuff. And, hopefully they'll decide to sign on with us.
As a head coach, what is it like seeing those prospective student athletes see the facility that they'll be playing at?
I actually don't take them out to the different ranges to look at things. I've got a little video tour that we can put up on the computer that, gives them just a quick look at the different ranges. But, trap and skeet ranges really don't seem to vary that much. Sporting clays, your environment's always a little bit different there because every place is designed differently. But, most of the kids, as long as they've got a place to practice, that's really all they care about. It's more how we store their firearms. Do they have access to them if they want to take them home on a weekend? We're not shooting, things like that they're more interested in.
As a head coach, what is it like seeing those prospective student athletes put on that jersey for the first time as freshmen?
Well, it's kind of like them starting over in high school. Some of them are a little nervous, and but it's really great to see them put on that school vest and be able to go up and go to the line and be ready to shoot. I don't know, it's I don't know. I guess I'm just proud to see the kids up there, and all you can do is ask that they do their best when they put that vest on and shoot for the school. Obviously we worry about sportsmanship and things like that too, right along the line. But I don't know. It's fun to watch these kids do that, and you know that they're going to grow some more before they're done with their 4 years of school.
What's it like getting to see them put it on for the first time in that vest versus the last time their senior year?
Well, then putting it on the last time is really a sad occasion for a lot of these kids because they've had a good time. I had a senior just graduate out at semester last year, and he was really, really looking forward to getting out, getting a job, and starting his life over. But he told me that it was really a sad day when he shot his last tournament because he's not going to be able to hang out with the team and do the tournaments. Where, when you put it on the first time, you've got 4 years in front of you, and there's a lot more excitement there because it's a beginning, and they know there's a lot more to come. But it's like anything else in life. You graduate high school, you graduate college. Hopefully you get a job. You may be changing jobs. So there's always a lot of excitement at the beginning and a little sadness at the end because you're leaving something that you've really enjoyed.
For you as a head coach so far, what have been some of your biggest accomplishments?
Oh, my biggest accomplishments, really, I guess I don't consider them my accomplishments. I just hope that I can improve the kids' shooting abilities. Not everybody is going to be that shooter that goes out and shoots perfect scores for you or near perfect scores every time. I'm just really happy with these kids if I can get them to have a good time and actually start shooting personal bests. Maybe not every time they go out, but as long as I can see that they're improving, that's what I really, really look for. Because if they're not improving, I'm obviously not doing my job.
What are some of your future plans for the program moving forward?
Well, I guess the biggest one is I got to grow the team. This year, we're going to start out with 8 kids on the team. And truthfully, my main goal is to try and get up there where we've got 20 to 25 kids on the team. Ultimately, I would love to see Waldorf win a national championship. I don't know if we'll be able to grow the team and have that happen in the time that I'm going to be at Waldorf, but that's what I would really like to see happen, is just see the team get bigger, better, and if we could win a national championship, that would be absolutely awesome. But when you go to the college nationals, you're shooting against the Iowa teams make a good performance, but then you're shooting against some of the other really good teams like Texas A&M. I can't remember who the other top dog was down there this year, but some of the SEC teams are there too. We followed Clemson through the Sporting Clays range, and awesome shooters. So I don't know. I mean, if we can just be competitive, I would be happy, but you always want that win if you can get it.
What advice would you give those incoming freshmen entering their first year of shooting sports?
Well, my advice is you need to be prepared to do some serious work. Like I said earlier, shooting sports are no different than basketball, wrestling, whatever. Your skills degrade if you don't work on them. So obviously, we practice 2 or 3 times a week, and you've got to be willing to work on your basics. And a lot of the high school kids have only shot trap, and they've never shot skeet or sporting clays. So there's a big learning curve for them. And when we go to skeet, a lot of them get frustrated the first time or two they shoot it because they're used to being able to shoot really good scores, where skeet's a little bit different, and they might only be breaking 8 or 10 targets their first time or two through. And they've just got to learn that it takes time. You've got to work on that skill set, build it up, and if you do that, by the end of that first season, you're going to be a much better shooter.
What advice would you give those athletes looking to go play professionally in this sport and go to the Olympics one day?
That is a really tough one, because the events we shoot are American trap, skeet, and sporting clays. The international games are entirely different than what we shoot. I mean, they shoot what they call bunker trap, and it's nothing like American trap. International skeet is a little bit different in the fact that the targets are harder, they fly twice as fast, and you have to start with a down gun. And the other part of the equation there is, if you want to be on the Olympic team, you either have to have a lot of money yourself, or you need some really good sponsors, because the amount of practice time, it adds up as far as the cost on shells and targets. And you're also responsible for your own transportation to get around the world to go to these tournaments. I mean, there is some money available through the Olympic committees, but a lot of it is on your own. It's an entirely different game, but that's one thing I would like to see happen in this sport, is to figure out a way to open up that pathway for our college shooters to develop into that. But again, practice facilities are tough too. Like bunker trap, there's one at the Wisconsin Trap Association range, Akron, Wisconsin. There's one in Carroll, Iowa, or Carroll County, Iowa. I don't know what little community is next to it, but you're 3 hours away from those facilities. The only place that throws international skeet that I'm aware of in Iowa is New Pioneer Gun Club in Waukee down by Des Moines. So even just having a place to practice and learn how to shoot those events is really difficult.
What advice would you give those future coaches out there looking to get started in coaching in this sport?
Well, if you're interested in getting coaching or starting to coach in this sport, the one thing I would say is you really have to watch the kids and be able to read them to figure out what you need to change to make them a better shooter. My experience has been that, we have a standard stance that we utilize. Well, some people are built differently. They may be knock-kneed or have a bad ankle or whatever, but you just need to be prepared to put a lot of time in and work with these kids, and not everything is going to click with them. I mean, you may have to come up with 3 or 4 different ways to get that message across to the kids. But it is extremely rewarding when they actually figure it out and are starting to do what you want them to do. So all I can say is, if you want to be a new coach, you need persistence, and you need to be willing to donate an awful lot of time into the coaching part of it, because there's a lot of little jobs that come along with being the head coach that you don't think about, as far as, having to work with the school, possibly having to write newspaper articles after your shoots, and, so people can see what the kids have been doing. So it's not as simple as just going to the range once a week and just helping a kid become a shooter. And then you've got all the social issues too, because sometimes you got kids that don't get along, or you've got to deal with the boyfriend-girlfriend situation, because, if they're fighting, the kids obviously are not going to be mentally ready to shoot. I had a boy here a few years ago, one week he'd shoot a super score, the next week he'd tank. And come to find out the weeks with the bad scores, he was fighting with his girlfriend. So, as a coach, you've got to deal with a bunch of social aspects with the team too.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find the program on social media?
I didn't catch that.
Where can my listeners find the program on social media?
Well, we've got Waldorf Shooting Sports is on Instagram. We've got a Facebook page that they can get on to follow us. I try and update those on a fairly regular basis, but sometimes it gets to be a week or two before we get anything new in, or right now during the off season, about the only thing we really post is if we get somebody who signs. So we'll put a little picture of them up saying that they joined the team. But yeah, you can look for us under Waldorf Shooting Sports, either Facebook or Instagram.
Thank you again, Coach Dean Mueller, for your interview, and best luck in your future at Waldorf as the head shotgun sports coach.
I do have a little bit of a hearing impairment from being around the shooting ranges. So
thank you again for your interview, and best luck in your future.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been enjoyable. I know I kind of rambled on here and there, but I don't know. I'm enthused about the kids in the sport, and I encourage anybody who wants to get involved, either as a coach or as a student, jump in, do it.
That's great. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again for your interview, and best luck in your future.
Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.